So today I'm going to focus on the video marketing aspect of social media. It is by far the fastest growing aspect of all social media currently. Between Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn is moving in that direction. And it wouldn't surprise me if even places like Reddit and others are going to start following that exact same format. So does anybody here know what the average user time is on an app like TikTok? How many minutes a day they spend on it? 25 hours.
Couple hours.
Yeah, the average user spends about an hour and 10 minutes, give or take, on an app like TikTok. It is literally taking over the social media space. TikTok is the only website to actually outnumber Google in the number of visits. And what's happening is, if we look at China as an example, does anybody know what Baidu is? So Baidu is like the Google of China. During the first quarter of this year, I believe they saw a 44% drop in searches because people are now turning to apps like TikTok to find what they need rather than utilizing something like Google. So the video gives that personal aspect. It gives the feeling of a one-on-one, and that's what people are now looking for. Reading the reviews, seeing a list of companies show up on a white page is no longer enough. And the question is going to become how much of this is going to shift, because it's the younger generations that are by far shifting this the hardest. And, video marketing isn't for everyone. There are certain industries that simply aren't allowed to do it. Financial advisors is one of them. So there's a bunch of like fine lines. It doesn't mean that it's impossible for them to do it. It just means it's hard for them to do it because everything they put out has to go through some kind of license or approval process. But the interesting thing is, we talk to a lot of smaller business owners that will spend an hour or two networking every month, right? And every week. And they will gladly go out and talk to 10 people, 20 people at a networking event, and they go home and they're like, that was a good day, right? You can put out one video, distribute it across 3 platforms, and by default, you'll get 2,000 views with a 10% view-through rate, right? That means whatever you said, for however long you said it, you had someone's attention, 200 people's attention, for however long your message was. And yet people go to these events, stand up for 30 seconds or 45 seconds, get a couple of cards, leave, and they're like, yes, that was a good day, right? And they're like, well, you can't build relationships through video, or you can't build relationships through social media. Why not? Right? If you are actually active on these platforms, if you make it a two-way communication between you and the people commenting and liking, it becomes a two-way platform. Right? The more you answer people, the more you interact with people, the bigger that trust becomes, not only between you and that user, but between you and other users. So you can build a pretty large network in a really short amount of time utilizing video. And I don't care whether it's Facebook Reels, Instagram Reels, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube Shorts. These are all in the infant stages right now, right? Like we haven't even hit the boom yet. Instagram Reels is just launching. Facebook Reels is just launching. YouTube Shorts is just launching, right? My wife asked me the other day if I had any regrets in life. And I was like, I'm like, one. She's like, what is it? I'm like, I wish I would have gotten my business on Facebook when Facebook launched, right? Because those that got their business on Facebook while it was still free distribution have tens of thousands of followers because it was the easiest thing in the world to do, right? And those businesses haven't had to spend a penny on marketing since because they have a large enough audience through their social media that's their advertising platform, right? So unless they wanted to grow rapidly, that's enough to sustain their business. Right? People think it's so hard to do this stuff or get followers, and it's not. right? If you're just consistent, if you have a consistent message, if you talk about a specific topic, it doesn't have to be like just tile, right? You could talk about construction in general and how tile plays into it. It's a big enough audience, right? There are thousands of people that are watching these types of videos on all these platforms every day.
Coming, how did the reels get into your feed? Are we being stalked on it? So I get the
So let me,
Pitbull reels and
so what is really, really cool is TikTok really changed the social media game, right? Before Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn were all connection-based platforms, right? So they were showing you pictures of your niece getting married in Aruba or, whatever it was, family members, anybody you were connected to. TikTok said, we don't care who you're connected to. We care about what you're interested in. We don't care what user generates the content. If you have interest in it, we're going to show it to you. Reels is now trying to take that same approach because they realize they can get a good 7 minutes out of you looking at family photos and everybody posting pictures of how great their life is. And you're like, yeah, I know better. Right? But that's about it. While TikTok is dominating with over an hour of usage time every day. So they're obviously doing something right. And that's how they keep you above, right? It's because they're showing you more of the stuff you like, more of the stuff you want to see. And then occasionally they'll throw in a couple of videos just to see if they can get you to a broader interest. And that's how they then start serving you more, right? You start with pit bulls, and then all of a sudden you're watching cooking videos, and then all of a sudden you're watching, someone do something stupid, and and then it keeps feeding you more of that. It is really an ingenious way to keep people hooked, right? And what's funny is, because of the rise of Reels, Shorts, YouTube, TikTok, all of these, this has replaced TV for a lot of people at late. Right? Like they literally will no longer turn on their TV. They just pull out their phone and they sit on TikTok and they're like, okay, it's bedtime. And the funny thing is, shopping is moving increasingly to these platforms. Right? Decision making is moving to these platforms. You can present problems that people didn't know they had on these platforms and then sell them the solution. Absolutely. Because here's the thing. A lot of people don't know they have a problem until it becomes a big problem, right? Like, let's use the shower, for example. Yeah. You see a small spot in your ceiling. It's not really a problem yet because there's only one little brown spot, right? Well, if he makes a video saying, well, if your shower is above that brown spot, you probably have a bigger problem than that tiny brown spot. But until we tear down this drywall, we won't be able to see what the real problem is, right? And then you find out, well, there's a major plumbing issue in there, but your drywall has been absorbing the water for the last 6 months. And that tiny little spot is really 20 gallons of water that's now been absorbed by the drywall in your ceiling. Right? Most people don't know that that little brown spot is an indicator of a much bigger problem. Through YouTube, through these channels, you can now actually educate people when they have a problem, and you can present them with a solution, whether that's calling you, whether it's, calling someone else, calling a plumber. But it's really presented a huge opportunity that people aren't fully taking advantage of yet. So that is why, we got into this, meaning video marketing, not because we really wanted to. I got into it because I had a medical issue and I was forced to. Because we used to do a lot of SEO, we used to do a lot of writing, we used to post a lot of blogs. And then I had a medical issue come up and I can no longer sit in front of a computer for more than like 10, 15 minutes at a time. And I need at least 20 to 30 minutes to write decent content. So I had to start looking at alternatives. So I downloaded TikTok and I'm like, let me check out what this stuff really is, right? And I say I did it at the perfect moment. for us, right? We didn't miss the boat yet. The ship hasn't sailed. It's literally in the beginning phases of it. But I started making videos back in February. We started taking it seriously about 2 months ago. And we've had multiple videos go viral up until today. Any video that we put out gets somewhere between 4,000 and 8,000 views at a minimum. And a lot of that just has to do with the consistency of putting out content. It's not that what we're saying is so fantastic that everybody watches it. It's the social media channels reward you the more you put out. If you start getting any type of engagement, they will start pushing more of your content, especially if you're consistent with it.
So what's the content that you put out?
Where is it?
What is it?
We put out all kinds of business-related content. So I'll put out anything from, here's 3 people you need to make best friends with when you're starting your business, to here's the downside of hiring certain employees. We talk about company culture, we talk about branding. We really cover the entire small business spectrum. So when I started on social media, I did a ton of research before getting into the video production, right? And there were really 2 things that stood out. Was you got to find a niche, as they call it, and it doesn't have to be overly specific. It can be pretty broad. And the second one was, what is your purpose on here, right? So when we sat down and evaluated those 2 things, was, well, we want to talk about small business in general. I don't want to talk just about marketing, right? Because we're a marketing firm, I'm going to allow people to assume that we know how to do that, right? What's far more important to us is that people understand that we have a well-rounded view of how businesses function, right? Because as a marketing firm, if we don't understand the numbers, if you don't understand how you run your business, if you don't understand your internal brand, doing the marketing becomes that much harder to do. So for us, we're showcasing the fact that we understand all of this so that we can do this.
Yeah, anybody that's worked with Gummy knows he really gets to know the culture.
That's,
The nonprofit, the business, the nitty-gritty, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and then crafts a plan.
that's just part of the process. If you want to do effective marketing, is understanding your internal brand. So,
I didn't want to interrupt.
Go ahead.
Do you have a framework that you use that you recommend to people to building a marketing fill in the blank? What are questions that you would ask yourself?
or as far as what, like when we start doing the marketing?
Or in general, I mean, like, what are questions that a company should ask themselves when they begin looking at expanding their marketing footprint?
What's important to you? Who are you as a business? Who is your ideal client? And you need to be specific. Right? If someone tells me, oh, it's suburban Montgomery County, blah, 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 that's a crap answer. That's a broad demographic. I want to know who you're selling to specifically. I want to know their name, age, like I need details. As detailed as you can get. I want to know hobbies, interests, TV stations, social media they use. The more we know, the easier the marketing becomes, which is why it's so important to us to understand the company culture, because your company culture has to fit with whatever the end client is. If those two don't mesh, it is very hard to do effective marketing that leads to a higher return or a higher closing rate on the other side.
Thank you.
Love it. But so when we started, to get back to where I was, so the one thing we wanted to do when it came to our social media, or especially TikTok, was I don't care if it ever generates any business. Right? Like at the end of the day, I don't care if I ever get a call. We are not using TikTok for that. We use TikTok primarily for education, and our goal was if someone is starting a business and they stumble upon our TikTok profile and they start looking at it, there should be enough information there to help them steer away from certain things that happen to almost every business owner that starts, right? Like we all run into the same walls. We all have those similar issues. So our TikTok was all about education for small businesses. So we talk a lot about how to build marketing avatars, how to effectively build a brand, both internal and external. We talk a lot about people you should know. We even talk about things like taxes. So really, if it is in the small business spectrum, we talk about it. And to me, TikTok was about giving back to others, to help make sure others don't have the same issues I had in my business during the first few years, right? There's a reason 90% of businesses go under in the first 2 years, because there's a lot of things people get wrong. If we can help 1 or 2 people not go under, that's fantastic. But if you're really looking to use social media as a lead generation tool, yes, it can be really good for that to use the natural reach, but we still prefer paid ad placement on social media for like hardcore lead generation, where we're looking at conversion rates, where we're looking at all these like minute things to make sure that, you know, you pay XYZ dollars to turn that into a lead that turned into a deal. We primarily still use paid ads for that. There's very few things that, especially for local businesses, because your social reach can expand beyond your service area. So with the paid ads, we can kind of hone it into very specific areas, a very specific demographic. The natural reach is more anyone that has interest, right? So you could end up with a channel that has all the do-it-yourselfers, but it's all in New Jersey, Maryland, Virginia. You could have 100 people locally, 200 people locally, 1,000, depends on how big your reach becomes. But they serve a lot of your videos somewhat locally first, but it doesn't mean it's as local as your service area. But like our Instagram, for example, has the highest viewership in New York, proportionally. Our TikTok is heavily viewed on the West Coast. We have a huge viewer base apparently in Texas. Texas and Pennsylvania are actually the 2 biggest. Our LinkedIn videos are served 90% in the greater Philadelphia area on the other hand. But every platform has a slightly different purpose, right? Which is also why they're showing it to different networks. LinkedIn still serves to your connections first, which is why a lot of it is going to be local, because the vast majority of who you're connected to on LinkedIn is probably going to be people you met somewhere along the line. So LinkedIn can be a fantastic platform as well.
Do you generate different content for different platforms, or do you span the same content across various platforms?
Both.
Okay.
So certain content we put on every platform. Certain content we only put on TikTok, some we only put on Instagram, but it depends on what we're talking about, whether we should be using it on all the platforms, right? So LinkedIn, for example, because it serves content completely differently than TikTok, a video that we would put on TikTok in a heartbeat, we probably don't put those on LinkedIn.
And you make that determination how?
Once we generate the content, because we bulk generate content. So like I'll sit down and I'll record 40 videos in a session, and then we look at the content of each, and if there are certain keywords or certain structure to the video, that gets tagged as a LinkedIn video, everything else just goes on TikTok.
Makes sense.
Because the beauty of it is, you can literally put whatever you want on TikTok, and you will get feedback on whether or not that video is going to perform well or not. Right? If it stays at 100 views or 200 views, it's pretty much a dead end, right? If you get 400 to 1,000, now all of a sudden you pique somebody's interest. So TikTok is a great way to test your content as well.
Length of video. Is there science to that? How long it should be, depending on
Videos?
the platform?
So I had a viral video that was 1 minute and 37 seconds long when people told you videos that are over a minute do not go
On
viral.
TikTok?
On TikTok. 789,000 views. I currently have a video on TikTok for the business.
Is that you drinking bourbon? Or
No.
is it-
No. I currently have a video for Red Knight on TikTok that is at 740,000 views as of this morning. It has something like 3,000 comments. It has 40,000 likes. And it's a video where we talk about our company culture, not what we actually do. And the funny thing is, it's never the video you think. Like,
Yeah.
I literally recorded that. I came in one morning and I was like, oh, I got to do a few videos. And I sat down and I didn't even realize it. I had a T-shirt on that says FUBAR on it. If you don't know what that is.
God, that's why I went viral.
Well, 2 weeks that someone actually commented on. Now, the good thing is,
The old one or the new one?
The old
World
one.
War II one.
the old one with Stallone and,
It all means the same
Yes.
thing. Yeah.
so we'll tell you after the video, after we stop.
The U.S. Army
Yes.
guys just.
So- In the video, that I have a microphone in front of me, so it's covering up the majority of it, so like you can't really see what it says. But someone noticed it and actually commented on it, right? But that was not a video that in a million years I expected to go viral. I did not. It was talking about our hiring practices, how we go about hiring people, and how we make sure they align with our internal brand. That blew up. So it's funny because I see videos that are totally overproduced that get 1,000 views, right? And nothing comes from it. But here's one thing that small businesses need to keep in mind is that if you are going on these platforms, the goal isn't to get as many followers or as many people liking your content as possible.
Could you tell my board that?
Yeah,
Sorry, I mean, literally, nonprofit
So,
boards do not get this.
I'll give you the quality of your following is far more important than the quantity of your following. Right, there's a story out there that there was a lady that had 3 million followers on Instagram. She couldn't sell a t-shirt. She was gonna get into selling clothing and stuff. And she couldn't sell a single t-shirt to her audience because they weren't there. They didn't see her as someone they wanted to buy anything from. So she had a huge following and no way to monetize it. Right?
Have you, looked at LinkedIn, Sales Navigator? Do you have any experience with that?
No. So I will tell you a secret. I absolutely hate LinkedIn. Right?
Even LinkedIn Creator that everyone's raving about.
So we are now part of the LinkedIn Creator Program, and it is the first time that I have had any interest in LinkedIn for the last 5 or 6 years. So here's what happens, and I'll tell you why I hate LinkedIn, is on my profile, it says, it used to say owner, then it said founder, now it says founder and CEO, whatever, because, we're in the process of franchising, so it needed to be more formal. The moment we changed my title, I started getting spammed like crazy from people that wanted to sell me something. And I had no interest. I did not need another source other than my current email where people were spamming me. I get enough spam in my email. I didn't need the LinkedIn spam on top of it. If you are a salesperson, Sales Navigator is fantastic. Ask any banker, right? Because that's how they get in touch with me. They use Sales Navigator, they see the title, and then they start bombarding you with stuff. But that was the reason I stopped using LinkedIn. What LinkedIn, I think, realized is without people like me on the platform, they have nothing to sell to the bankers. Right? Because now we aren't there to reach out to. We aren't there actually interacting with content. We aren't there to see their messages. So it became like a dead end. Here, let me sell you the Sales Navigator, but none of the users you're trying to reach are on this platform anymore, right? Because we sold everything to people like you so you could stand them. Perfect. So by enabling creator mode and doing what they're doing, they are getting a lot of these smaller businesses back because we've been generating content for ages, right? Like small businesses still generate the vast majority of the content out there. Whether that's blogs, videos, creators are generally found within small businesses. So in order to get them back, they had to do something, and they were losing ground. But LinkedIn is another fantastic platform that people aren't utilizing. Like I was talking to a caterer, and he's like, "Why would I be on LinkedIn?" Why not? Why wouldn't you be? Right? People go to LinkedIn. It is a more affluent buyer that generally uses LinkedIn versus TikTok, for example. So if you're a catering company, why wouldn't you? Right? That's your audience that's more likely to hire a caterer. Why not put out content about catering and shrimp and whatever it is that you want to put out there? Show off your buffet, show off whatever it is that you're doing. But the video aspect of all the social platforms is the fastest growing part of all. Facebook would be dying right now if it wasn't for this.
Yeah.
Right? Instagram, there's still users trying to fight the change, right? They still want it to be the picture app. And the users fighting it are the people that have millions of followers and understand that they can utilize pictures to push brands and make lots of money. But that's not going to keep Instagram alive. Right? These big creators that are doing that are just simply not enough. You can't care enough about the monetizations of creators to ignore what the masses are asking for. And all the Instagram users and the Facebook users, once they realize they love Reels, eventually are going to download TikTok. And then they're going to be like, oh my God, half the Reels I'm seeing are just reposted TikToks. Like 50% of the content that I see on Instagram Reels and Facebook Reels is just stuff that's recycled from TikTok. Right? But it was cycling TikTok 3 months ago, and it's now finally coming to Instagram and Facebook. But that also has to do with how they release certain information. Everybody gets bombarded with Reels.
Yeah, but the best part is when I see the cost guy.
Stop liking them.
All I have to figure out, is we hope it's not an employee doing it. It's
But just to kind of wrap this up, what I just want to show you real quick is, so TikTok used to be what they call an outreach platform, meaning that's where you can get to a large amount of people, but it generally does not close the deal. That's not where you make the sale. Instagram and Facebook used to be more of a, oh, now they like you, so you can keep sending content to the people that already like and follow you, with Reels now being introduced. Those two are becoming outreach platforms again, just like when Facebook started. But you always want to try to get a secondary way to that user. So get them to sign up for your email list. Be allowed to send them text messages. Have some form of communication with that user that is not directly through the social media. That's really how you're going to see, especially for local small businesses, that's where a lot of the conversion happens. Right? People don't necessarily jump from seeing your reel and going, ooh, I have to buy my business cards today, right? Well, what can happen is they'll go look, they'll sign up and be like, okay. And then they have a big print job 6 months from now, and that's when you get the reel. It's because you're now top of mind. So you're really utilizing cross-platform technology to stay engaged with the user or the customer. And that's why we use all of it. Like, we still use direct mail.
That still works?
It absolutely still works for certain industries.
That's why you're still getting it.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, the return on investment on direct mail is actually starting to rival Facebook ads. No, serious? There's a shocker, isn't there?
Yeah, somebody told me that.
Yeah.
Somebody on LinkedIn told me
Yeah.
that.
So the cost of digital ads has gone up so drastically that now direct mail all of a sudden became competitive again. Right? Because direct mail isn't done the way it used to be done. Like they used to blanket and send out 100,000 pieces. Now, if you have your marketing avatar in place and you know who you're targeting and you know the income level, you know who you're targeting, you send out 7,000 pieces. But you send them to that base 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. Right? The cost of doing that now becomes nominal because you can bulk run the print. Right? And then it's just a matter of mailing it in sections.
One of our country wanted us to do 4-part mailing.
Mhm.
North of his location, south, east, and west.
Yep.
After the first mailing, he said, stop. He said, I have enough for 2 months.
Yep.
Stop.
Wow.
And I kept calling him next month. Now? No, not yet. No, not yet.
Yep.
Not yet. A year came by, you can throw it away. We'll do another one later. Huh?
Yeah. It's insane when you think about how much better direct mail has gotten versus how costly digital advertising has gotten. So I'll give you one strategy that we use for a lot of clients, especially contractors, builders, pavement guys, is they go out on a call in a neighborhood they haven't been in. They call us and say, hey, I booked a deal in this neighborhood, but we managed to push the job out 6 weeks. We go, perfect. So we take that address and we start bombarding that with EDDM, just that social route, right? Just that development. We set up a Facebook ad campaign that's literally a mile on top of that address. We set up, or 2 miles, I forget what the minimum is, and we bombard that for the next month. You know what happens? They no longer have to spend an hour hauling their equipment between addresses because the next job is 20 miles away. They literally then schedule everybody on top of each other. So all the equipment stays in the neighborhood for a week or 2. Right? Do you know how many days that saves of transporting trucks and equipment and backhoes and whatever? Right?
Yes, cost.
Yes.
Absolutely. The return on that investment is so drastic that they can literally do fewer jobs a year if they wanted to and still have the same net margin. Because they're not losing half days or full days transporting equipment. So in case you haven't gotten the point that you aren't doing video marketing, you should.
Anybody have questions for Goni? That's a great presentation.
Yeah.
And you're doing a part 2 next week. What are you talking about?
Sorry, are we 2 weeks? 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Sure.
What are you hitting on that one?
I am.
Aren't you?
You're invited.
I'm in. Oh, okay. See, I'm invited. I don't think I'm talking.
He's gonna explain FUBO.
Yeah.
You know,
Let's talk.
Yeah, let's-
To hear a little bit more, if he were to do a follow-up, I'd be interested to hear a little bit more about what constitutes a good video. What, not to take business away from me per
That's
se.
right. So here's what I'll tell you.
You should talk about the podcast.
A good video is something that gets engagement from the right audience. Right? Ray-Ban tried to fake a viral commercial 6 years ago. They spent like $2 million on making this commercial, and it totally flopped. Right? It's a fantastic commercial. It's really cool, but it totally flopped. Meanwhile, you have a cousin of mine that posted literally a video of her mixing paint in the Home Depot paint department, but the customer asked for glitter in it. I think it's at 1.6 million views. Do you think Home Depot could have paid for that? Right? Yeah. Think about it, right? So would that constitute a great video? Yeah, because most people have no clue that you can get into the Home Depot paint department and ask them to do all kinds of weird custom stuff. Now 1.6 million people know.
You got paint my. Interesting that you said that, but that did put in my different. It wasn't near the video.
So to answer your question, what constitutes a good video is something that gets engagement. There is a structure for how you should structure a video to increase the likelihood of people watching it through and getting a higher engagement, and that's pretty simple. You don't need to that. You can literally look it up. It's everywhere. Any content creator that deals with this can tell you how to structure them. I'm not a fan always of that structure, but that's me. But it does work. The numbers, the analytics, the statistics show that keeping that format of a video does actually work.
Do you put a activating title on there?
Yeah, so we put the titles with the linky words and all that stuff.